Hi everybody, and welcome to another Facebook Live, which will eventually make it to my podcast because I forgot to do one last week. Actually, I did have an interview last week, but we decided to hold off on actually posting it, so it will be coming eventually. But this is because I need to do a podcast episode this week, and I wanted to share some of the things that I'm observing as I call it wonder and ponder. So I wonder about things and then I ponder them. And here it is. I'm going to show you this notebook that I use for my wonders and ponders because it's a weird size. I really like it, 4x8, and it sticks out. So when I take notes and write down things that I'm observing, I can find it easily. I am not the best at details, which may come as a surprise to some of you and not to others. And so I have a lot of notebooks. I write in whatever's convenient. I write on Post-it notes. I write a lot of things when I have an awareness. So I'm going to be training myself to use this notebook, this size. If you are coming to chill out, you will get a notebook this size for this very thing. We're going to talk about the opportunity to wonder about something, write it down, and then ponder it. And that's what I want to share with you today and in this Facebook Live. If you're in Fargo, you realize looking out the window that today is not yesterday. So we're going to talk a little bit today about what we can control and what we can't. So as always, if you're watching and you'd like to put a comment in, please do so, and I will watch those comments and we'll have a conversation about, I don't know, about ponderings, okay? So I'll do the countdown and we'll go. 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Circle Up and Get Real, where we talk about things that matter with people who matter. And today, I don't have a guest, so today I'm talking with you, whoever the listeners are or watchers, as I record this video on Facebook Live, and then I use the audio for the podcast. So today, if you live in Fargo, today is the 27th of February. Yesterday, the 26th of February, was a record high temperature day in Fargo and in North Dakota, really. I saw that Bismarck had record highs yesterday as well. And I saw something posted today, a 61-degree temperature drop in 24 hours in Bismarck is the largest in history because today we have a full-blown blizzard. I did make it into my office. And I currently cannot see across the parking lot because there is so much blowing snow. So this is a real deal blizzard here today, everybody. And that got me thinking about what we can control and what we can't control. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And the prompt for this for me today was remembering when I was at Keller Williams. I was a team leader for Keller Williams back in 2011 to 2014. And we went to a national convention every year called Family Reunion, which is going on right now in Las Vegas. It's fun to watch everybody posting, but I also have a little bit of FOMO because I really do miss those days when I was in that family and could meet people at the family reunion every year. This year they have the Robbins Show as their keynotes. Opening keynote is Tony Robbins, and later in the week is Mel Robbins. So what a great lineup. But I was thinking about that, and then I was thinking about some of the training that I had the opportunity to take part in while I was at Keller Williams. And one of my instructors in Train the Presenter was a guy named Dick Dillingham. And Dick was a friend of my knee doctor here in Fargo. And it's just a really small world. But I took a couple of classes from Dick, and he taught us about an acronym, KOOL. And he said, as presenters, as leaders, as people who are, I guess, just being the most effective we can be in our lives, he said, you have to get cool, be cool. A keen observer of life, KOOL. And I've never forgotten that. And as I consider being an observer, that means I'm not a judger necessarily. I'm just observing. Morning, Carly. What we can control, our effort and our attitude. Yes, Carly, we're going to talk about that. So we have internally everything we need to be cool, to be keen observers of life. We don't need anything external. in order to control what we can, as Carly tells us, our effort and our attitude. But I find it so fascinating as I continue to observe. I ponder and I wonder about things. Actually, I wonder first, and then I ponder over what I wonder, because it's fascinating to me how much, when I observe, I hear people complaining. And you can observe in person, or you can observe on social media, or there are a lot of ways you can observe. And it's interesting how easy it is to get caught up in what people complain about. And as I observe this, I recognize that we get better at what we do over and over again. We just do. What we practice, we get better at over time. And if what we do all the time is complain about things that are outside of our control, is it any wonder that we get better at that over time? We get better at complaining. And right now, as I observe, and I do my best not to get involved in the sidedness that I see around me these days, boy, people are dug in, aren't they? They're just dug into a position. And when we take a stand for something, it's very different than when we fight against something else. And the language is different, the observation is different. When somebody stands for a belief they have, they are not fighting against somebody else's. They're standing for what they do believe in. And the language is different, the energy is different, the feeling is different about that. When I watch somebody who is standing for their beliefs or their position in something, it's a lot more inspiring to me than it causes me to feel defensive. Because when somebody is telling me what I should believe too, somehow I feel offended against, which causes me to be defensive. And then I push back without even realizing I'm doing this, and I create resistance, which then shuts down my ability, maybe not my ability, my willingness to listen. And so when I feel attacked, and this could not be what is the intent at all, but it is how it occurs to me. When it occurs to me as attack, I defend. And if all we're ever doing is attacking and defending, then we're really not making any progress. If, like, I look out the window today and we have a blizzard. It's a full-blown blizzard when yesterday it was record high temperature. It makes absolutely no sense in my logical mind how we could have, in Bismarck, as I said, a 61-degree temperature drop in 24 hours, which is the greatest in history. And then we get into this the debate maybe about climate change and carbon emissions, and I mean we could pick a side and fight till the death if that's what we wanted to do. But how does that work for us? How often are you observing or noticing somebody changing their mind about a big issue because somebody else spewed their force about it on you? I have a lot of curiosity and a lot of interest in learning things. I am open to learning, and I would love to learn more about American history as it relates to politics. I would love to learn more. I would love to learn why someone chooses to be a Republican and why someone chooses to be a Democrat. But there is no place that I have found in the last, I'm going to say, 10 years, where I can ask that question without being given somebody's barrage of how stupid the other side is. And that's not what I'm asking for. And so in my observation of things, can I control their attitude? Can I control somebody else's decision to be a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or whatever? Can I control them? Can I make somebody be different than they are? Not likely. So what can I control? Going back to what Carly said here, my effort and my attitude. And if you think about what is an attitude anyway, what I've been trained on from Bob Proctor is that your attitude is the combination of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So if you have the combination of what you think, what you feel, and what you do, that creates your attitude. And if you think somebody's stupid and you close your mind to things, your feeling will be very, what's that feeling? Righteous. I don't know if that's a feeling, but you'll feel like justified in being bossy about things, maybe. And this could be true for politics. This could be true for parenting. This could be true for business, leadership. It could be true for a lot of things. If I feel I'm right and I get on a soapbox about that, the chances that somebody is going to change his or her mind because of what I am soapboxing about, I don't know, maybe there is a chance. But I see there being a lot of other opportunities to come together that have to do less with spewing and speaking and pushing and forcing, and more to do with stopping and asking and engaging and listening. Again, we get better at what we do over and over again. So I recognize, looking back on my own life, that I've gotten really good at being open to a lot of possibilities because it's what I've been practicing. Somebody will probably tell me that I'm wishy-washy if I do that. And I've listened to that before. I've listened to people tell me, I've told you this story a million times if you've heard me, that I had a boss who told me that what I do is touchy-feely crap that makes him puke. I have taken the emotion out of that back however many years ago that was. I don't have emotion around that anymore. I only use that as an example of what someone who feels very strongly about something will actually say to someone else. Spot on, Melissa says, love this awareness, life-changing awareness, right? Awareness. Something dawns on you differently. You have a new awareness about something. And then it would be awesome if with that new awareness, we all went, oh, I can take different action. And then over time, we took that different action. Wouldn't that be awesome? Because then we'd produce different results. But what happens so often to us, we're humans, right? We're human. We have an awareness, we have an aha, we have, oh, something happens, and we go, wow, that was awesome. And then we go back to doing our lives the way we've always done our lives because that's how we've been programmed. Those new awarenesses, unless they are put into practice over time, they will just become fleeting glimpses of a spark of inspiration. We need, if we feel inspired, we need to then take new action. That's a big if, right? That's a big if. If we feel inspired and now we are at a space where we're wanting, desiring to make a change in our lives, that's definitely possible, and it will take a lot of undoing of old programming. The best way I've found to do that is to get around like-minded and like-hearted others who can help me see what I can't see for myself. Now, you have to establish trust with this group of people because they're going to tell you things you probably don't want to hear. You are doing your life and seeing your life through your own eyes with your own experiences and your own history and all of that. We're doing the best we can with what we know. We all are. I will always say that. Every human, you'll argue with me, I know some of you, but every human is doing the best he or she can with what he or she knows. We're doing the best we can with what we know. And if we aren't doing better, it could possibly be simply because we don't know better. And the challenge becomes when we know better and don't do better, because that makes no difference then. An insight without action really makes no difference. So when you have an aha or an insight or something that occurs to you and you don't act on it, it's as if you didn't know it at all. So what happens when we become keen observers of life? We're cool. We're getting to this place where we're observing life. And then we are taking the action that we feel inspired to take, not pushed on, forced to. I mean, that, I suppose, works for short-term results. But if we really want long-term distinctions in the way our lives have been, it's really imperative that we take control of the only thing we can, and that's us. As Carly said earlier, what can I control? Me. And sometimes I can't even do that. Sometimes it's so difficult because I've been programmed over years of my life to just automatically turn left when I really want to turn right. So we really need to be aware. It's a consciousness. It's a journey. It's an experience. I mean, one of the books that I'm reading right now, I haven't even finished because I'm reading it very deliberately, is called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And conscious leadership means I have to be aware of what I'm actually doing. And then do what I do, make the choices I make on purpose and not because it's just programmed into me. Very simply, this book talks about taking a piece of paper and drawing a horizontal line across that paper and then operating either above the line or below the line. And if you operate above the line, you are conscious, according to this book. And above the line is open, curious, and committed to learning. Open, curious, and committed to learning. Below the line is closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Committed to being right. Kelly says the mind is a muscle. So like any muscle then, wouldn't it make sense that we could exercise it and grow it and become something more flexible and pliable? I suppose the mind could also be like cement. Someone told me this one time a long time ago. She said, yeah, my mind's like cement. The older I get, the harder it gets. And maybe hard being difficult is one thing. Hard being rigid is another. And if our identities are that I'm hard and cold and old and can't learn something, well, then that becomes the identity I live into. We talked yesterday in the Enlightened Leadership Lab, which is a group that I facilitate with Chris Angel. We talked about resilience in leadership. And we talked about how important it is to recognize your identity. And your identity is what you've told yourself you are. And so if you tell yourself you are poor, or you are stupid, or you are brilliant, it becomes your identity. And then everything you see is through that lens of the identity you've chosen. And really, you can choose a different identity. You have the ability to choose a different identity, but whether or not you're willing to, that's another story. And I say this because I, too, have that same opportunity and that same sometimes unwillingness to flex, to move, to build that muscle in a new way. And so all of this is just to remind us to be cool. Be cool, people, be cool. Keen observers of life. What are you noticing when you ponder or when you wonder? I think I'm putting them in this order. I wonder first. I wonder about that. I wonder what happens when, a person makes this decision. I wonder. And then I'll write it down in my notebook that is a specific size, so it sticks out, because I have 100 notebooks that are all a different size, but only one that's this size. So I wonder, and then I write it down, and then I go back and I ponder it. What did I notice today? What caused me to stop and take a look? What did I notice? My first coach back in 2003, my first life coach, gave me that suggestion one week. She said, notice what you notice this week, Jody. And back then I was so used to taking orders from people in authority that I needed you to tell me the 1, 2, 3 step to do this. And I said, what do you mean? Notice what you notice. What does that mean? Tell me more. Help me understand that. I probably didn't say it in that language then, but what do you mean, CJ? What do you mean? Jody, just notice what you notice. And I was so frustrated that whole week because I didn't understand the directions. I didn't understand it. And I came back the next week and she said, what did you notice this week? And I didn't really think I'd noticed anything because I didn't think I understood the directions. And so that awareness to me was, wow, okay, what did I notice? Did I notice where people are being jerks, or did I notice where people are being kind? What did I notice? What was grabbing my attention? If I'm being a keen observer of life, what am I observing? And then I pondered that. And I thought about that a little bit more. And I thought, wow, if I'm only noticing all the negatives, then would it be any wonder that I'm living kind of in a negative awareness? Everything's wrong and bad and people are stupid. And that shows up everywhere, because that's what I was looking for. And when I started being aware of that, and I thought, wow, this is really a big deal. This is how my lens is clouded. This is all I'm seeing is, bad or negative things. And over time, that just becomes the way it is. So what if, as Kelly says, the mind is a muscle and I want to exercise that muscle in a new way? Wouldn't it make sense that I need to do something different, but do it consistently over time? And if I'm not aware of that and I'm not doing it consciously, I'm going to fall back into the way I've been programmed. We all will. In order to make a change, we have to be willing to let go of whatever it was that had us stuck in the rut we were in before. And that's why, in my opinion, change never works, because people aren't willing to give up the past. They're not willing to give up what they did that got them into the space they're in now. Change doesn't work because somebody tells you need to change your attitude or change your mind or change the way you're doing this. And, I resist when people tell me what I have to do now. I used to look for it and then be mad at them because they would tell me what to do and it didn't make sense to me, but I'd do it because that's what they said to do. And then I could be right about them being wrong. All of this is what I've learned over the years and years of doing this work and being aware and recognizing what I can and can't control. And today I have no control over the weather. As much as I want it to be 60 degrees like it was yesterday in Fargo when I grilled a steak on my deck without a coat on. I want it to be yesterday. It's not. It's snowing and blizzarding so hard right now that I can't see across my parking lot. I don't want it to do that today. But if I am mad about the snow, it's still going to be snowing and I'm just going to be mad. So what can I control? What can I control? I can't control other people. I can invite them into a conversation. I can invite us to have a nice dialogue about Democrats and Republicans. I would love to have a dialogue about that. I would love to learn why people chose the path they chose. I would love to learn more about that, but I have had a heck of a time trying to learn more because every time I ask somebody, I'm serious, I'm going to say every time, I think. Every time I've asked somebody, if it started out in an open dialogue, it ended up being, I can't believe you're even having this conversation because the other person is so stupid. The world is terrible. This person hurt the economy and this person hurt whatever. Oh my goodness, people. Can we just have a conversation about something that brings us together? That question is, can we? And my answer is, absolutely we can. Absolutely it's possible to. Are you willing to? That's a different question. The possibility always exists, but does the willingness? And Melissa says reframing is hard, but so worth it. So I guess then we'd have to ask ourselves, what do we want the outcome to be? What is the vision of the future we'd like to live into? Reframing is hard, but so worth it if you see how you want the outcome to be at the end, and then you're willing to reframe and do what it takes in that new frame over time. Those are big ifs. They're big ifs, everybody, I know. Yet, unless I'm willing to ask myself, well, what if? What if, in a positive way, what if that is possible? Actually, what if makes a positive question, doesn't it? What if, well, I suppose you could be negative. What if I tried and it doesn't work? Well, are you worse off than you are right now? If you tried it and it doesn't work, it already doesn't work where you are. What if you try and it does work? We talked about that yesterday in the lab as well. We talked about being right versus having an opportunity to learn something. We talked about if I am right about the answer to something, it's distinct from if it works to produce a result I truly desire. So we could look at things from black and white, right and wrong, good and bad, or we could say, did that work to get me what I wanted without violating the rights of others? I always add that. To achieve my desire. Did it work? If it worked, then wouldn't I do it again? Regardless of whether you tell me it's right or wrong. Now, I'm not talking about breaking laws. I'm talking about what I can do, what activity I can take to produce the result I say I want for myself without violating the rights of others. What if that were the conversation? It's always possible, but are we willing to do that? Are we willing to suspend previous assumptions in order to learn? I don't always know that. So those are the questions I've been pondering. Thank you, everybody who is here contributing and being in the conversation with me today. It's so much more fun to have a conversation with people than to just talk to a camera. But I hope this has sparked some new ways of thinking. Think about being cool, a keen observer of life. Just consider the possibilities that exist in addition maybe to the way it's always been. What if is a way to reframe. And then what actually can you control? What actually can you control? As Carly said, it's our effort and our attitude. How much effort I put in to learning or to doing or to taking steps in a direction I want to go. My attitude is the combination of my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And in that combination, I can be really effective depending on my desired outcome. So there's a lot of things to kind of take apart here and rethink. But as Melissa says, reframing is hard, but so worth it. So what do you truly desire? Ponder that, everybody. And I'll look forward to talking with you again. As always, get real. See ya.